Am I the a-hole for telling my husband's affair baby's family to either come get the kid or I'm calling CPS? My female 53, soon-to-be ex-husband Roger, 47, whom I forgave for his affair, came home with a baby 4 months ago. His girlfriend, 22, could not handle it anymore and brought the baby to him at work and left. To the best of his knowledge, she is in Spain now. I allowed him to stay so long as I didn't have to do anything. Anything. Well, about a month ago, Roger had a heart attack. It didn't kill him, more's the pity, but he is very weak and incapable of doing anything for himself. Since he isn't up and about, he cannot care for his child. He also cannot drop off and pick up his son at daycare. I have been helping, but I'm done. My kids are full grown. I shouldn't be having grandkids anytime soon. I do not have any desire to care for a baby. I told Roger that I want a divorce, and I contacted the mother's parents. I know the father through friends. I said they had until Friday to come get their grandchild, or I was calling Child Protective Services. They just left with a baby, but they scolded me for being so cold towards a baby that had done me no harm. I view that child differently. Roger is recovering and I will be moving out. The house is in his name, but I have never contributed to it. I have the equivalent of 22 years of rent and interest put away. And as per our prenup, my savings are my own. I work, and I don't need anything out of this marriage except myself. My kids tried telling me to stay and help their father. I said that they were welcome to come over and help him with cleaning himself and the baby. Both declined what I've felt was a fair offer. I do not feel that I'm acting badly. However, Roger, our children, his child's family, and a few mutual friends think I am. Perhaps writing this out and seeing the responses will give me clarity. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. The child was not your responsibility. Yes, it was innocent, but you're literally not responsible for raising it. You should have divorced Roger long ago. And God forbid something happens. I literally cannot make any decisions regarding medical care or anything. Not a-hole. If you're the only one dealing with this mess Roger created, nobody gets a say but you. Your kids don't want to help. Roger can't help. This child isn't your problem nor responsibility, unless you make the child your problem or responsibility. The child may be innocent, but you are too. You didn't ask Roger to cheat on you and get another woman pregnant. You didn't ask to take care of an affair baby. Good point. The baby is completely innocent, but so is OP, and she didn't mistreat the baby. She just refused to take care of it. Better to hand him off to his family than keep him there when you're indifferent to him. Not a-hole. Basically, everybody is trying to dump their responsibility on you. The baby should be with family. You're not cold to not want to care. It's weird they wouldn't want to take the kid in anyway. Poor child. Your grown kids can take care of their dad. When he cheated, your relationship ended, and he's not your problem anymore. The grown kids can also take their half-brother in. Also, they're the ones blood related to the baby, not her. Absolutely no obligation there either. If my dad cheated on my mom and was left with a baby, I'd cut ties too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter I was not going to walk her down the aisle or attend her wedding after she went years of no contact with me? I, 45 male, divorced my ex-wife, 45 female, many years ago after she had an affair. She's now married to her affair partner. We also had a daughter who was very rebellious. She pretty much hated me and said her mom deserved much better than me. Yes, for a year, we did struggle financially because money was tight. When her mom got with her affair partner, my daughter, who was 14 at the time, said many horrible things, like how the affair was exactly what I deserved and a lot of stuff like it. Regardless, I understood my daughter was going through her teenage rebellious phase, so I just accepted those words. However, my daughter always said that she would prove she would succeed in life without me, and after graduating high school, she pretty much went no contact with me. I tried to contact her, but she blocked my number. It hurt me a lot. Well, I moved on, because there was nothing much else I could do. I moved states to where my sister lives, focused on my career, and I'm financially well off now. I am single by choice, and I'm enjoying my life so far. It's fun to hang out with friends. My family and I have a peace of mind now. A couple weeks ago, my daughter called me. It was the first time in years we had spoken, and I could sense she was nervous. I told her I was all right, and she broke down in tears. She apologized for everything and we caught up on life. She told me she really wished she could make up how terribly she had behaved in her childhood, but I told her it was okay and everyone goes through a tough phase in childhood. She then told me that she was getting married next year and that it would mean the world to her if I could walk her down the aisle and be there at her wedding. However, where I was at in my life, I just didn't have the emotional bandwidth to add my daughter in my life again after she went years of no contact with me. So I told her up front that I will always love her, but that I would not attend her wedding or walk her down the aisle. I told her she would always be welcome in my house, but that I have my own life now, and emotionally, it was hard for me to feel much for her. She broke down in tears again and apologized again how everything that happened, and I told her it was alright, and that there was no reason to apologize. We then spoke some more. Am I the a-hole? Not a-hole. If she's sincere, she'll keep reaching out. If it was for show or for money, she will leave you again. See where you're at in a year and attend if you feel she's sincere. Wonder where stepdad is in all this. Probably wanting someone else to pay for the wedding. Not a-hole. As the saying goes, trust takes years to build and seconds to destroy, or something along those lines. The fact that she wanted to reconcile is one thing. I don't think you're wrong for saying what you said. She might actually show true remorse, or something occurred that made her feel that way. Either way, you're not wrong for your feelings. In my native language, that saying goes as, trust comes by foot and leaves by horse. Keep talking to her. Whether or not you walk her down the aisle, you might still find a way back into each other's lives. Just keep those lines of communication open. Waiting until after the wedding would surely clarify exactly what the daughter wants, while insulating OP from further hurt. Years left to reconnect, so I hurry. Why put on a show after being treated so poorly? Waiting is far more pragmatic, and if there's ulterior motives like money, the truth will out sooner. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my boyfriend and his daughter out because of how his daughter acts when she's on her period? My boyfriend of 2 years has an 11-year-old daughter that just started her first ever menstrual cycle 3 days ago. He has full custody of her, and they started making transitions to move in with me and my 8-year-old son about 2 weeks ago. Up until this point, everything was going fairly well. The kids got along and I thought Diane was a nice kid. Anyways, she walks out of her bedroom 3 days ago and tells me she thinks she started her period and was asking me the general questions on how to wear a pad, what she can/can't do, etc. All is well. I let her stay home from school after calling my boyfriend at work to confirm plans and give him the rundown. She was crampy. I work from home, so it was no issue. All day she interrupted my business calls to talk about her period. It was annoying, but I just dealt with it because it's her first menstrual, so obviously there's going to be a lot of questions. This wasn't even a problem, it was what followed it. She was in a great mood all day, but as soon as my boyfriend and my son got home from work, my home turned into a war zone. My son asked if she wanted to play with him and just screamed in his face, "I'm on my period," and literally slammed him out of her doorway. He went flying, hit the wall, bruised his shoulder and hit his head off the door frame. My boyfriend went to talk to her and she starts crying. "I'm on my period. I don't want him near me." He gave her a pass for her behavior, which already ticked me off. The next day we planned a beach day, like a week ago planned it. Diane starts flipping out to a point of full tantrum, screaming at me and my boyfriend, telling us that no, we would not still be going to the beach because she's on her period and she can't swim, and since she can't, none of us can. And she doesn't care if that bothers us. My boyfriend cancels the trip. Or tried. I told him I was still bringing my kid regardless. We get back home at 3 p.m. When I left, I had a pot of chili in the slow cooker for dinner. I find half the pot gone. Diane had been eating out of the slow cooker. My boyfriend told me that Diane said the only thing she wanted was chili, and that since she was on her period, he had to let her. He listened to her. There wasn't enough to feed everyone now. We sent the kids to bed at 8 p.m. She comes out at 9, telling her father that she needed ice cream or she was going to snap. He originally said no. She starts tweaking out, crying, screaming, wakes up my son. He ends up going and getting her the freaking ice cream instead of being a parent and nipping that nonsense in the bud. Then this morning, my boyfriend tells her she can stay home from school again because she's still on her period. I tell him no. I'm working today and she interrupted me all day on my last work day. She starts flipping out, screaming at me that I'm not doing anything to make her comfortable when that's what she needs right now. My boyfriend sides with her. It's her first period. We need to learn to navigate it. I told him again that she was not staying here today. He gets angry with me and says I'm making his life harder than it has to be. His kid is still screaming at me. So I snapped and told them to pack all their stuff and leave, and that I was freaking done. Said that I'm glad she started her period so soon into moving in, so that I could get a proper assessment of how it would be full-time. And I would be damned if I put up with this nonsense every month. They both immediately calmed down. She starts crying, saying she was just trying to make me understand. He's telling me I'm being ridiculous. I stood firm, however, and told them to get out. They're now gone and my house is peaceful. I don't want them back here. My boyfriend has been blowing my phone up since, telling me this is just a bump in the road. But I have never been so disgusted by anyone in my entire life. Am I the a-hole for not letting them return and telling him I'm done? I did speak to her about her aggression yesterday. I told her it wasn't okay to put her hands on people, to scream in my face, to demand we cater to her and break things. She says, I'm on my period. Nothing I do right now can be held against me because I have no control. Which is enough to prove to me that she does have control. She's using this as an excuse. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I think this is not just her period, but signs of a much bigger problem, where she's manipulative AF and your boyfriend always gives in to her when she acts badly instead of being a parent and putting a stop to the behavior. And he is also showing you that he will always take her side over you no matter how bad her behavior is. She's also going to bully your son. He deserves to have a peaceful and safe home and not to have to live with a bully. Living with them will be hell if you let them stay. You have the opportunity in this moment to dodge the bullet. Not the a-hole, and I agree. This behavior seems wholesale manipulative. Hormonal or not, physically body checking your son and then claiming you can't hold me accountable because of a bodily function is not okay and needs to be stamped out yesterday. Also note that when she realized you were serious about consequences, she immediately realized she'd gone too far and tried to backtrack while blaming you with, I'm just trying to make you understand. Out of curiosity, where could she have seen this type of behavior? Because honestly, this sounds like she saw it in some movie or whatever and it's exaggerating hard. Not the a-hole for needing space, but please get your boyfriend to figure out if she's actually nuts or just acts like this because she thinks that's how girls on their period should act. Literally anywhere, none of her friends have started, but her dad gives her free range of YouTube and TikTok. She's not allowed to post anything, but she can view whatever she wants. I've tried talking to him about that. I don't think kids should be in social media, but he was never receptive. Free range of YouTube and TikTok. Well, problem identified. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife I would rather have her sister live in our house than her? I, 35 male, and my wife, 35 female, have been married for 6 years. Some background. 7 months ago, my wife gave birth to our daughter. I'll call her Sadie. Ever since my wife gave birth, she has been getting increasingly rude and refuses to do any work around the house and says she's still healing from giving birth, even though she always goes out with her friends. 3 months ago, my wife's sister Hannah, 25 female, called my wife and asked her if she could temporarily move in with us. She lived in a crappy apartment building and tenants recently had to leave due to the unsafe conditions. Hannah didn't have enough to get another place right away, hence her asking. My wife seemed very eager to let Hannah move in, despite always claiming they never get along. They came to the agreement that she would help with Sadie in exchange for staying with us rent-free so she could save up for a deposit on a proper apartment. Everything was fine at first. Hannah has ADHD and took a week to adjust to living with us. During that week, she did all the chores my wife has been neglecting without us asking her. I tried to tell her she didn't have to do all of them, but my wife waved me off and said Hannah's ADHD makes her want to do it. Hannah backed her up. After she cleaned something, my wife would thank Hannah a lot. I thanked her as well, but my wife did it constantly, which seemed strange to me. My wife dismissed my questions and said it was normal to do with people with ADHD. Since then, my wife has pushed all childcare and any household chores I don't do onto Hannah. She has also been increasingly rude to Hannah and yelling at her if she makes a mistake on the first try of doing something. I tried to intervene when I was at home, but my wife would accuse me of wanting to let Hannah lay around the house being lazy because she was retarded. She and I got into a huge fight about her using that word to describe Hannah, and didn't speak for a few days. My breaking point came when I found out my wife had been making Hannah pay her rent and buy baby supplies. I pay all the bills, and the money Hannah had been giving my wife was not going towards the house. My wife was using it to go out with her friends. My wife also made Hannah pay for food. I usually give my wife the money for food, and she bought snacks for herself with Hannah's contribution. I had another fight with my wife, where she said Hannah was lazy, and if she didn't like her rules, then Hannah could sleep on the street and get out of her house. That's when I told my wife it's my house, as she doesn't pay any bills, and at this point doesn't do anything but be as lazy as she accuses Hannah of being. And I would rather live with Hannah. My wife got quiet and has been refusing to talk to me or Hannah for the past few days, and I'm starting to think I crossed a line. Am I the a-hole? Added to add, I have no romantic/sexual feelings for Hannah. Even if I did, Hannah's lesbian. And even if she weren't, I would not have taken advantage of her by making a move on her while she's dependent on me for housing. Please stop with a comment suggesting I marry Hannah. Added to, she was cleared for PPD a few months ago, but due to comments, I will discuss having her screened again. While that was not a nice thing to say, your wife is a horrible person. So horrible that it makes me question whether this is fake. I wish it were. I feel bad for what I said, as it was said in the heat of the moment, but I don't like how she's been treating her sister. It's a huge turnaround from how things were initially, and I don't know why. Your wife is a horrible bully and user, abusing her sister for money and labor. If you don't do anything about it, you're condoning it. Be a responsible person. Do you understand what a huge red flag it is that your wife lied to you and Hannah when she took Hannah's money and kept it for herself? Like, huge. No wonder they never got along. That's because your wife is a twat. Apparently, she is totally comfortable lying to your face, and Hannah's. And she has no problem pretending not to be married. You should grant her that wish. Lying about money is one of the #1 reasons people separate. Not a-hole. Your wife is stealing from you and Hannah. It shows a dishonest character, and people don't tend to be dishonest in only one aspect of their life. I feel like if you start poking around, you're going to find out a lot of surprises about your wife. Yep, she is definitely dishonest. Plus, to add to what you stated, 7 months later and she's still healing and unable to do household chores? What a crock. Unless there were some major surgery related to the birth, which I am sure OP would have mentioned if there was, then there is no reason why she can't do tasks around the house 7 months later. She is lazy and a liar.